Thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate you joining XROM podcast. So, to my audience who don't know about you, I'm going to give them like a brief introduction. So, Mr. Stephen Maes has been experimenting with sound tools for the past 25 years using everything from lamp microphones to 360 video and Ambisonic immersive sound technologies. He's passionate about classical music recording and has worked with symphony orchestra like London Symphony Orchestra, the Dutch Symphony Orchestra Berlin, Wiener Philharmonica, the Brussels Philharmonic, amongst others. And in 2016 and 17, Stephen's recordings won the prestigious Eco Classic in Germany. He's a faculty at PXL University, Belgium, where he supervises thesis projects and teaches studio techniques, and he's also the founder owner of state-of-the-art recording motor music. Stephen, really happy to have you on XRM podcast. So obviously, yeah, you've been invested in the sound business for the longest time, so you understand the intricacies of sound. The journey of sound has been extremely interesting. We started with mono, and there was no problem with it. From mono to stereo to 5.1 surround, and here we are entering this new spatial world, and everybody is excited about immersive sound and what it can possibly do. And to pull it down to its all basicness, all that we are trying to do is replicate as close as possible how we humans hear sound. So can you run me through?
Yeah, but I want to go in your explanation, because that's an interesting fact. Actually,
right.
We are not only reproducing the way we are listening, because I do a lot of classical recordings. Right. So it means if you want to do a classical recording in immersive, then you put the audience on the third row of a fantastic concert hall, and you put your immersive microphone on that spot.
Right.
If you do this, it's not interesting. Also not in immersive. So I think what we are trying to do is making a reproduction of the reality, but with passion and with the way music works. And it's not just translating it like we hear it, because that's not exciting for the audience. They don't want to hear actually the reality. They don't want to listen to a concert hall on the third row, because if you listen on the third row, then if you do this without your eyes, because your eyes are part of the way that we're translating sound, and especially in immersive, if you don't have your eyes, you have only the microphone who is reproducing. So you have no filtering. You have not the cocktail effect that is giving you more experience of what's happening with the sound. So it's awful, actually. People don't like this, the third row position of a concert hall. So the real interesting thing is if you can use this immersive technology in combination with other technology, with the point microphones, and combine this so that it become exciting, and that you can translate music in a real good way. But sorry, I interrupt you.
No, perfect. I think a sound engineer, I think, yes. We add the color. In a black and white picture, we add the color and make it more exciting to the listener. Yes, so I think you bang on. So tell me, your background has largely been classical music. From there, what pushed you to get into immersive sound?
I think that's very easy. If there is one, but I did before a lot of pop music also. I started actually when I was a young guy, when I was 20 till 30, I did a lot of pop music, also in surround, also live on television. And it starts actually over there. It starts with these experiences in 5.1 in pop music. But I think it's very logical if you listen to classical music, and if you have the opinion that what we are doing in mixing classical music today, we try to reproduce in a way the hall where the orchestra is playing. So you have the acoustic, and in this acoustic you put an orchestra or a string or chamber music groups, and from there on you translate it. So immersive is the perfect way. It's actually the most natural way that we can translate music. So I think it's normal that we are using immersive to translate classical music, because it's in a hall. It's because it's the natural environment of the orchestra that we try to translate to the public, to the listener. So for me, yes, it was so logical.
So tell me, there has been a little, misunderstanding between a 5.1 surround and ambisonic. Can you just break it down and share what is the difference between 5.1 and ambisonic?
Yeah, but 5.1, it's not immersive.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
It's a way of immersive, but it has to do with different loudness in different speakers give us the idea of an acoustic.
Right.
So it's actually, there are no rules. You can do what you want. It's pan-pot mono with 5 speakers. Okay, and then you have ambisonic, and ambisonic, it's actually it's a normalization. It's a way of recording. It's Michael Gerson who decides, look, if we use 3 times MS, we can actually divide the room in a Z, the height, the left, right in the X, and the Y in the depth. So, and he decided to divide this room in this axis, and so. Yeah, at that moment you have the possibility. It's a real sound system. It has nothing to do with pan-pot mono. No, it's based on a regular system, MS. So mid-side stereo system that they are using 3 times. Yeah. Then you have also other things. Then you have time difference. Then you have level difference. Then you are working with the normal way that we are using for reproducing stereo recordings. So yeah, that's the difference. One thing is actually it's completely fake. You make with 5.1, you make a room, and the other thing is really reproducing the room like it is. And if it's a bad room, it's a bad sound. It's a good room, it's a good sound. But it has much more to do with the mathematical way sound is captured. So yeah.
So tell me, from your mono stereo 5.1 to ambisonic right now, though it's in a very nascent stage. I mean, the entire immersive technology business, right from virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Do you think this is the future of sound?
You mean immersive?
Immersive sound.
Yes, of course. I think there is no discussion. If you look what's happening on the market, also again the story with my father from mono to stereo. If I give my father the stereo and I let him listen also to the immersive, there is no discussion for him, and he's saying actually to me, why are we not listening all on this way in immersive? Because he's listening on a binaural headphone at that moment. And then I think that's the thing we need to do as a sound engineer, to explain people, look, if you listen to stereo and you can hear it in immersive, you can hear it much more realistic. It's much more the way we are listening as human beings. But what's also important, and I think that's the most important thing, because if something is coming to the market, then it needs to be a commercial. Bigger companies see the advance to earn money from this new technology. And there we have now Amazon, Tidal, Apple Music. Apple is putting it in all their new computers. And they decide really, look, we will provide all the listeners with this new technology. So without any discussion. So that's a very good thing. Second thing is, we have, of course, last 20 years, a problem in the music industry. We are not selling CDs anymore. So I think they also are clever enough to see that this is an opportunity. to give people a different way of listening. Like you go from a mono LP to a stereo LP to a mono radio to a stereo radio. So I think it's also that's important, that you have this opportunity to rethink your business model of music. But the biggest problem is now at this moment, and that's something I'm aware of, is that if they only remake their back catalog in immersive, then we have a problem, because that's not interesting. The content was made for mono or for stereo.
Right.
If you remake this in an immersive mix, it's boring like hell, and people don't want to hear to this new content if it's a remake. And that's, I think, the most interesting thing is artists are very clever, and they are always thinking much before than the technology sometimes. And if they can work with this new technology and make new music, and people can listen in a good quality on all these different systems to this new way of composing and reproducing new music, then it will become a success. But not by remaking all these old tapes that are in all. Of course, that's the cheapest way to do this. In the research project that we are doing at PXL at the university, we have also musicians in our education, so professional musicians. And then you see immediately, if you explain what's possible, you don't need to explain an artist what's possible if you give him immersive possibilities. Then it goes like immediately, and they start thinking, and they become crazy. Sometimes they go over it, but in essential, that's what we need to do as a sound engineer, as a research project. Explain people what's possible. Let them listen to good immersive content, and then it's easy. We have now, and that's perhaps the problem now, that there is no sync between the new technology, because all this Tidal and Amazon and Apple Music, they only think about money. They are not thinking about artistic processes that needs to explain to the musicians. And that's perhaps the problem, because before, in the past, it were the broadcasters, and broadcasters are normally in Europe. I don't know how it's in your country, but in Europe they were owned by the government. So, and the government decide, look, we will implement new technology, stereo. And you have also the European community and all the people together say, okay, in the EBU, the European Broadcast Union, they said, okay, we go to stereo. And there it was a fundamental change in the way how it grows, the stereo. And now it's in the hands of commercial people. And that's always a little bit difficult, because if the money is not coming quick enough, after a year they can decide to stop immersive, and that's a pity if that should happen. But that's the possibility. That's something we need to think about.
You pointed out a couple of problems with the industry. You said 20 years the music industry has been on a downfall, and which is quite true. The digitization of music has obviously impacted the entire music industry. But technology, which is coming up, you don't need to knock the door of a record label executive. You can record music, even at your home studios, and you can distribute it on the net almost free, and figure out ways to monetize. So I think, yes, like you said, artists are ahead than technology, and I'm sure they'll figure out and they'll understand the importance of these technologies like immersive sound, and how, if you implement them, how you can benefit yourself and be ahead and offer something which others are not, taking up the chances of them monetizing more. So yes, this is an opportunity. And you also pointed out some of the biggest companies in the world like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, have all entered this, and this could be the next evolution of computing or even sound. Like, for example, we had the spatial computing, where from our 2D interfaces we will enter into the spatial world, and that's when I think the importance of immersive sound will really become important.
Another thing also, Eddie, the thing is also that people are looking really around how they can make a new experience, a new way to reproduce and to show people what they are doing. So there's also a lot of work in the video business. And there is also a lot, and something what we do is also making music recordings together with video recordings from music. And that's also something, concerts without an audience, but making a high quality, high-res sound recording and high res video recording. And that's also something that we do a lot. We did it now last weekend in Bruges. So it's really, people are looking and finding ways to express them.
This 3-4 months that we have been quarantined at home, we have opened up to the possibilities, and it's pushed us into that corner and pushed us to innovate. I've seen a couple of your recordings of immersive sound, that the way you've captured. So can you run us through the capturing of the sound and some learnings and challenges?
Okay, so if I am talking to my students, for example, or to other people about immersive recording, I always give the example of a drum. And a drum recording, it's very easy. You can do it with point mics. So that means on every instrument, on every tom, snare, kick, putting a close mic, and then just try to make a balance and do it in stereo, for example. It never sounds good. It's never a good recording. What you need is also to put good room mics around this drum. And for me, it's exactly the same with immersive. So if you want to, and that's, I think, what we learned from the last 2 years when we started a research project, we learned that you really need to think in a little bit in the same way that you do the traditional recordings. It means you can use an ambisonic room mic in combination with point mics, or you can use a ORTF Shubs immersive setup, or you can whatever. But you try to find a way how you can capture the room. It can be also just like we do with stereo with 2 microphones in an AB, and do it now with 4 microphones, or do it with high microphones, and so there are not really rules. The rule is try to think what you want to explain to your audience. It means if you want to have roomy drums, think in the same way you record your drums in immersive, but you have much more possibilities. That's one thing. The other thing is, and that's the same with pop music, it's not necessary to record your drums in a natural room. Of course not. It's not all the music is made, especially not today anymore, in a big room, in a big studio. So at that moment, it's your creativity that gives you the possibility when you start mixing. So if you have electronic music, just try to work with the elements you have from your computer and start working with these immersive things. Of course, I think, but that's one step further. If we go on in immersive, then I think also the libraries that we are using today in the stereo libraries, if we are thinking about reverbs 2-3 years to become also more immersive, so it becomes much more easy. So, right. But I think you need to think about these two opportunities: is recording in a room, and you want to show and to listen to this room. Then you think about the drum recording. There are no rules about the way you put a microphone. That's what you want. And the other thing is the electronic music. where you have all the elements in your computer and you use just your panel, your surround panel. And then you have the possibility. You can do it in Atmos. You can do it in Auto. You can do it in binaural. You can do it whatever. Then you can do it in higher order ambisonic. It's for me it's the same. The result is the most important. I'm not a technology freak, really.
Right. So is there any tricks that you would suggest to sound engineers? Is there any digital audio workstation which is in sync for immersive sound? Is there any tips that you would like to add?
If I can say one thing, if you want to record and you want to bring it to a headphone, then please make your own binaural mix. Don't reduce ambisonic third order to a binaural mix, because that's never the same quality than when you make with a headphone on your head a binaural mix specially made for a headphone. That is one of the really important things that I can give to people, because 80% of people are listening music to headphones.
Right.
So just be aware of that you need to make your mix specially for a headphone. Don't reduce it from a 5.1 or a 7.1 or an Atmos or a immersive whatever setup to binaural mix. If you go to headphone, please make your proper headphone mix in binaural. And then one thing at this moment, and this is for me, I tried a lot of panners, immersive panners for binaural.
Right.
And at this moment, for me, the Sennheiser Ambio free plugin is really working one of the best and give me one of the best results. One of the others is my Bino. It's a French one,
right,
which is also working very well. But that's a beta version. So my Bino. So this is perhaps something.
Right. So is there any online literature or courses that you might suggest to the listeners, people who are interested in understanding more about immersive sound? Where would you point them out to?
There was one, but I cannot give it directly from IES. It was an Italian guy. I need to find, I can send it later.
Any experience, something which has influenced you? Can you share anything which has influenced you a lot, or you've been really inspired by?
I'm a little bit disappointed about what's going on the market at the moment. And that's also why I didn't put anything from myself on immersive really on the commercial market at the moment, because I'm not really happy. Because for me, the most important thing is, Eddie, that you can listen to a headphone to this mix. And if it's not working on a headphone, don't put it on the online. So no, I cannot give a good example. Of course, there are a lot of good recordings made in 5.1, 7.1. If you can listen with speakers, there is no problem. You have the 2L, for example. It's a Norwegian label, classical music label, which made really fantastic immersive recordings, but not on a headphone. And so for me, that's the point, because that's the way, if we want to book success in the future, it needs to be done with headphones. Do you have at home an immersive setup with speakers?
No.
Of course not. I neither have. No, but that's the point. Right. So if we want to book success in immersive, we need to do it by headphone.
Right.
And there are possibilities. So at this moment, I found I'm not ready to in my experience to put it on the web.
Right.
Just in a binaural way.
Yeah, voilà. But do you see that's because, even the binaural headphones that we have currently in the market, there's very far and few.
No. Eddie, for binaural, you don't need a special headphone.
Right.
You can do it with a normal headphone.
Right.
The only thing is, if you want to listen to binaural mixes,
Right.
Then you have head-related transfer function you need the head-related transfer function of your personal head-related transfer function.
Right.
And the only company who is doing this at the moment in a, let's say, plus minus proper way is Sony.
Right.
And Sony is now making pictures of the people, their ears, and they recalculate it, and you can put it on their headphones. And that's possible with Deezer. This is possible with Tidal. So you can listen to immersive mix, and it's not bad. It works rather good. But again, there is no content. So that's my next step to do, is now to find out if I'm working, because we are beta tester of Sony with our research project. If we can mix in this Sony 360 format, and I can make my own HRTF for my headphone, headphone at home. How is the translation from what I'm hearing in my 22.1 studio, and I bring it to a binaural Sony 360 mix? So that's the next step for the next month that we're gonna try to see. Is there progress? Because you can make your own HRTF at the moment.
Right. Yeah. So yes, I think there is a couple of startups who are working on building these headphones with HRTF. Yeah. So it's an exciting space. So what are you excited for? What's your future plan for yourself? And
if you want to have success with immersive, then you need to have the possibility that people can hear this. So that's for me absolutely the main goal, giving the possibility on a smartphone to listen to whatever immersive mixes. And for me, it's now going the right direction, because before, for example, Avid Play is now giving you the possibilities to put immersive mixes directly from your Pro Tools to the market. So I think that's very important, that we can translate our immersive high-res mixes to the normal play-outs headphone. And if that's possible, then I'm a happy man, because then everybody can listen to immersive. So then it's that's wonderful. That's my goal, and that's my work. And how can I do this? By making music in immersive from the start. Means people, artists need to know the technology. Then sound engineers need to know how they can capture this technology. And then the next step is the market, bring it to the audience, Apple Music. And that's going very fast, actually, the last thing. So the distribution way of our immersive mixes are going really, really fast at the moment. Faster than I ever had imagined before. 1 year ago, I was really looking for a platform that had the possibility to give an immersive mix and to bring it to the audience. So that's really, really amazing that this is possible.
Right. Thank you, Stephen. So yes, I think we're living in an exciting time. And you rightfully pointed out, all the delivery channels are pretty much there. It's just that right now the artist needs to understand the importance of building an immersive experience, and understanding that the future is going to be maybe we might. The evolution of sound, from mono stereo 5.1, we'll get into immersive sound, and because of the spatial computing, because of virtual reality, I think we are going to be entering that. It looks like an exciting space. It is challenging. It is scary also, because there's a large population in the world who are still composing, looking at only stereo sound, or doing mixes only on stereo. For them, it's going to be like a big hit. But if they put their head and mind towards understanding where the future is going, and start building or at least tinkering with these technologies and possibilities, I think we can get into a world where we will finally bring not just the visual quality with virtual reality. We are trying to mimic the physical world, but we'll also be able to mimic the sound like we actually hear it. So I'm super excited about that sound. Thank you for sharing your insights. And yeah, any last words? I thought you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was thinking about another thing, because we were talking about COVID, about the festivals, especially the classical festivals, are looking in a way for integrating their audience in another way. And the public for classical music in festivals is a little bit old in Europe. It's most above 45 years. And I can say this because I'm 50, so there is no problem that I say old is from 45. But they are now trying to bring the gaming industry into the concert experience. It means that people can go to a concert because they cannot go to a concert because it's COVID, by an avatar. And they can go into a concert to an avatar, and they can follow the concert in VR, in virtual reality, or in a gaming environment, whatever. And now we are trying to find a solution to bring this, that we can combine this with the immersive sound, so that we also bring the immersive sound to this concert experience in this gaming environment. And that's also something I really believe that can be really interesting, that people can hear a concert hall like the concert hall is, and walk around in this place as an avatar, but can listen in a complete different way that they are normally listen to a CD. And it will make it much more stronger for the public to follow these concerts, if they can not only do this in 360 video, but also do this in 360 audio, as an avatar, that they can really walk through this. So I think that's also one of the things that's becoming really, really close because of this COVID. And I think that's a nice combination of this new technology.
Rightfully pointed out, with virtual reality, people from anywhere around the world, it gives you an option to directly go to Spain or India or America, sitting at the comfort of your home. You can walk on the stage of a live concert, jump from the sky, and not just that. You will also be able to hear the sound in 360. Feel exactly like how you would have been doing it. So yes, I personally am excited, because we're living in an exciting times, and technology could be that tool, the friend of ours, that helps us in human evolution. So thank you, Stephen. It was a pleasure talking to you, and to my listeners. If you like what you see in here, please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye. Thanks. See you.